All right.
We're going.
Is the mic all right here?
Yep.
Okay.
You're perfect. Yeah, don't worry. You're next to the absolute worst mic technique of all time in Andrew Hamilton.
I make a lot of noises and I
Big old thunder thighs over here. Seriously, like your Instagram videos are like you and Muggleton and your thighs.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get the memo for the dress code to wear footy shorts. But
well, if you could get your toes out for the Patreon, people seem to really like that.
Oh. Yeah, that's what they're tipping for, brother.
Am I getting a cut of the Patreon for my toes?
For your toes?
Lebanese hairy toes. Thanks for having me, boys.
Thank you for being here. We don't usually introduce the guests because we're not very good at this, but Anthony Salame, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
there we go. I think you might be the first guest we've ever introduced on the podcast.
Okay, listen, you're doing that because you feel bad because I'm the first ethnic guest, or?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Hold on, you guys had Lukashio on here as well, I think.
Does he count?
And we had
that's funny.
Milinkovic is Serbian. Is that count?
Yeah, of course.
We are really skirting on the edge of diversity. Alex Milinkovic, Australian-born Serb.
But this is nice.
It's great to be here in Dan Muggleton's house yet again. Before he's got someone moving in tomorrow. So if you want to do anything to, leave a mark on the house.
This is that table over there we've been told not to touch. So if you want to rub your balls on it or something, you can be the second person.
What's funny was Amo was the one that was making sure all the cups are on coasters. I'm like, bro, you're an ex-crim, bro. You should be like putting shit wherever you want, and you know what I mean?
It's only because this part's on camera.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Anything that's off camera, that's where I fuck around.
Hamo is the master of drinks on this podcast. We're told what we mostly talk about on this podcast are soft drinks, Hamo's jail stories, and then also my bowel movements. Those tend to be the holy trinity of the Flog cabin.
Okay, so in terms of soft drinks, I drink maybe one a month now, like after a barbecue or a pizza.
Really?
I've kind of cut them out my diet.
That's a low intake.
It's a very low intake.
Even sugar-free? No, nothing?
Even sugar-free. And, for good reason. When I first started stand-up, obviously, you're always out, you're drinking booze, you're eating crap. And I was doing Adelaide Fringe one year, and I had a big month. It was a big month, as you do. Very early in stand-up as well. I came back to Sydney and I got rushed to hospital with kidney stones.
Yeah.
And the doctor said to me, you got to cut the soft drinks out and all of that kind of stuff. So literally that was like maybe 15 years ago.
Okay, so they were like the soft drinks out, but like beer, alcohol is still good? Like
alcohol's still good, man. Yeah, alcohol's still good.
The doctor's like, Anthony, you're going to want to drink. We've got some big news. Can I pour you something? What's your poison? Daniel Muggleton has a much more pathetic version of that story, which is he's been told he can't drink juice anymore because he got thrush.
The sugar.
Thrush from juice.
He got thrush from juice.
The sugar gives him thrush cock.
So that's why it's Pepsi Max's only for Daniel Muggleton from now on.
Oh, man.
So you get one soft drink a month. What are you having?
Probably a Coke. And none of this sugar-free stuff, man. Like, if I'm going to have Coke,
okay,
I'm going to have a Coke. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or maybe a Sprite or something like that. And have you guys heard... listen, I don't want to strap on the tinfoil hat already, but have you guys heard about like the stuff that they put in the diet drinks? Is that apparently like it causes cancer and stuff like that?
Aspartame.
Listen, I went to public school, brother. 7 words or less. But is there any truth to that?
No, the science is inconclusive.
If you want to get your science from an ex-con, is what I've found. A guy who didn't cook the drugs, but he did sell them.
Just the research isn't out yet. Well, we're going to find out in another 30 years.
Wasn't there something about rats? Didn't it? I thought it grew tumors in rats.
Look, I have already abused my body so much with cocaine and alcohol. I'm like, what can this do?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're... But now, listen, I don't know. You clean now?
Talk to me. Yeah, I mean, I drink, but I don't do drugs.
And do you feel better than when you were like on the gear?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like the day I used to feel pretty good while I was on cocaine.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Yeah. But in hindsight, I was probably really annoying. And I've been a bit of a cockhead. So, and then obviously when I was off it, I would be in recovery from benders all the time. So, yeah, I feel much better, and my mind is slowly, I think, recovering.
Yeah.
It's still not sharp.
It's not back to where it was.
It's not back to pre-bender days.
Okay.
But it's clearer.
I just thought, I can't really imagine you on cocaine because you're a pretty annoying drunk. Like, you're fairly insufferable just with like 6 beers, let alone 2 bags.
Wait till we do the cocaine episode.
And
we were just talking over everyone more than usual. Just like, oh, I got another story. I got a story on that one. Hold on. And then for some reason, I would just stand. I'll have to tell you every story standing.
Yeah, this is you drunk. This is the same guy.
Okay.
I've met this guy.
Maybe someone's been lacing my beers with coke.
Yeah, that's right. That's why. Isn't that why this beer cost $93?
and did you start stand up after you got clean?
Yeah. So I got out of jail, and then I was under house arrest at my parents' place, and I started doing stand up. I had to bring my mum to my first open mic gigs because I wasn't allowed to leave the house without her.
Wow.
So
are you part Lebanese?
No,
I was on house arrest till I got married, so that's how we live.
So you can relate, right?
You actually look like a Lebo in a white boy's body. You know what I mean? Like, he does, doesn't he?
Yes.
Maybe that's why I get along with them so well.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why they gave me special discounts on all those ounces of coke that I was buying.
Yeah.
Like one of us.
Did you deal with a lot of Lebos?
So many.
So many, huh?
So many.
From which side? The customer side or the...
Mostly I was buying from them. Yeah. It was mostly...
they got a good reputation.
Mostly white. It was white, friendly like professionals that just had like a little bit of a cheeky mushroom or cocaine habit. But no, the Lebanese were the ones selling to me in bulk.
They're friendly guys, aren't they?
They are. I found them to be. I think that their perception in the media is sometimes inaccurate and unfair. That you know, that these guys are aggressive and violent. Like I used to rack up so many debts with like drug dealers just because I was a gambling addict as well. I'd piss away so much money, and they'd be like, "That no one threatened to bash me." They'd just be like, "Can you just stop doing that for a bit?"
Would you mind?
They sound like nicer than some family members I have.
Did you think you fit in with the Lebanese community, Hamo? Did you feel a part of it?
I don't know. I felt probably adjacent. You know, like I had a. What is it like? A pass to hang out with them? Yeah, for sure. One of us, but you know, those days are gone now. So I guess now they see me as just a washed up has been that makes funny jokes.
Are they coming to your shows?
Yeah, some of them are.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, I do still have like a bunch of bikies that'll come to my shows that I was locked up with that come and support me, which is nice.
Yeah.
They always like message me from like the most sus Instagram accounts, like just random small businesses.
What kind of accounts?
I'm not going to say them on the podcast.
But like, what do you mean? Like, what makes them sus?
Well, it's just like the name of a local cafe or or like a gym or something like that, and it's them like just messaging me off that. Like they don't have any personal accounts because like they're under investigation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So wait, does the account then post cafe content? Is it based on a real cafe or is it a faux cafe?
It must be a real cafe that like the club has ties to. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this life that he lived?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I grew up in the western suburbs. I knew, I had friends that went to jail. I had friends that had to leave the country. This life is not really something new to me. You grew up in a pretty,
Yeah, my friends' dads might have defended your friends from going to jail. my friends' dads might have kicked your friends out of the country.
Yeah, so, I mean, hearing these kind of stories, is this kind of a bit... I mean, obviously, now you've been hanging out with Hamo for a while, but...
Tom's very impressed. He finds it very cool.
Yeah, I do think he's very cool.
He's a big old Strady 180
nerd. What do you mean?
Like, I mean, is it so... Like these stories that you hear, did you have any kind of friends like this growing up, or was this kind of so outside of your world?
Like the Mushroom King of Sydney. I did.
No, is that your official title?
It was the title I gave myself.
Okay,
but they put it in the paper.
Oh, really?
They referred to me as the Mushroom King.
So did they ask you what would you like us to? And you're like, a Mushroom King of Sydney's pretty good.
I did an interview with Gary Jubilant for his podcast I Catch Killers.
Okay,
and I referred to myself as the Mushroom King on that, and so in the paper they were like,
"You self-anointed yourself the Mushroom King? You gave yourself the title?
It sounds fucking sick, but also
I gotta say, bro, but like you know, LeBron James called himself the king as well, and I lose some respect for him for that.
But
He called himself the king.
yeah, he gave himself that.
Wow.
that
But it was
nickname.
justified because for many, many years, whenever I was at a party and someone had magic mushroom caps or they were talking about them, I could identify the steps back to me. So they
Okay.
always came from me.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I wonder because I remember buying some magic mushroom caps. I wonder if they were Andrew Hamilton specials. What year?
I was selling for 15 years, brother. So,
Probably early 2010s.
yeah, that would definitely been during my time as the reigning king of mushrooms.
That's
So-
crazy. My first mushroom caps might have been made pressed by Andrew Hamilton. It's like a real sliding doors moment.
This has come full
Were they
circle,
this
man.
big? Were they clear?
Yeah.
Or green?
They were clear.
Clear. There we go. Okay.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
There's a strong chance.
You changed my life, man.
There we go. Strong chance they came from me.
I reckon.
How much did you pay for them? Do you remember?
I think I paid $35 a cap.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like by the time I sell them and it goes through a few markup people, yeah, that sounds about right.
This is crazy. I remember that guy stopped being able to get caps, and I was so disappointed. I couldn't get them anymore. There you go.
Here we go. Smoking gun right here. So
No, I don't know. I think Hamo's story is genuinely like pretty mind blowing. There's obviously not many people have had the kind of experience that he has had. But I would say, like, not that I've ever tried it. We should do this sometime. I reckon there are people that I would know that you would have sold to, as in, like, from different worlds that I went to school with or whatever.
absolutely, we could just sit and go through my phone every day. I still got all the numbers. I got like thousands and thousands of phone numbers.
Do you get some like when you go back and you look through, see those phone numbers, and you know, do you get like PTSD of were those bad times for you, or do you regret nothing?
The PTSD I do get is from all the small talk. I would have done over 50,000 drug deals, and I had to ask 50,000 people about what they were up for the weekend. Didn't give a fucking shit about a single one of these fucks and what they were fucking, whatever rainbow serpent or fucking secret garden or whatever fucking stupid name festival they were going to, which Buschdorf. Oh, sick, man. That sounds really good.
Not PTSD, PSTD. Post small talk
that
disorder.
sounds terrible.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds
many.
terrible.
So it's non-stop. That is really the bit which I think is probably what got me to stop, because I was just like,
Not the cops breaking down the door or going to jail. Small talk.
It was so
Small
I
talk.
was just over it. I was just you like, you think you want to be a drug dealer, but at what price? It's
Yeah.
like in the end, that just it wore me down. Because people always complain, oh, I hate having small talk with my dealer. No, you don't. Not with me. I was very funny and likable. But you, on the other hand, you people were not bringing to the party A-grade chat.
Do you think some dealers are like deliberately off-putting so you don't have small talk with them?
I mean, it's hard to say if that. I mean, most of them, it seems like that's their actual personality.
They're just off-putting.
But you know, I would find, because I lived in like kind of a fun house. I had like a pool table and I had like great benches for people to, I don't know, let them do cocaine.
That's the definition of a fun house: a pool table and benches. Yeah.
Great benches. So people wouldn't buy cocaine. And in Sydney, no, it's very hard to have a relaxing cocaine experience in a bar because you don't know there's going to be sniffer dogs around. So obviously, I would offer, if people bought off me, they could have a quick line there.
Off the bench?
Generous.
Off the it was a
Coke bench.
It was a Coke bench. Yeah.
Can I ask you? I don't know if you want to talk about this on the podcast, but today you went and did a gig in a jail, right?
Yes.
How was that? Like, did you have PTSD going into a jail to do stand-up comedy?
This is unbelievable. Are we on your podcast?
I know.
This is unbelievable.
So I find this fascinating though, like because
These radio skills are kicking
I
in.
know,
It is
right,
very
I know.
obvious.
Yeah, I know.
It's very
I know.
impressive. I'm gonna. If you want to throw to me for the weather, just let me know.
So I guess I was nervous about it, but so the context was I had done a paid corporate gig for New South Wales Drug Court, which is like a bunch of public servants that work with people that are going through the prison system.
yeah,
and they go before drug court. And so they hired me because they thought my stuff would be quite relatable to them. And from there, I had mentioned to a couple of them, my dream was to go and perform in a prison. And one of the guys was like, I can help you set that up. So he made some introductions to a couple of prisons, including Silverwater, which isn't where I was at. I was at Parklea and Long Bay, but they expressed interest in having me there. This was a year ago. And so we started setting it up, and I had to go through, like, I had to complete some forms, and I failed their own background check because I was still on a corrections order at the time. So I was like, hold on, you guys invited me. So then I had to wait a year. So that corrections order finished December 23 last year. So I messaged them again and said, hey, I'm all good now. Do you still want to look at this? And they said yes. And so we teed it up, and the plan was for me to go and perform for about 20 minutes for about 100. It was about 100 inmates who were all kind of like workers in there. They were all kind of like the well-behaved inmates. It's kind of a treat for them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was kind of weird going back through like the same kind of labyrinth system when I got released from Long Bay, through all these like security gates. And I had to like do like a facial recognition thing for like a retina scan.
Wow.
And there's just one door locks before another one unlocks to go through door after door after door.
It's like Get Smart.
Yeah, it was like it is that shit, man. And I had to lock my phone. I had to put my phone and my car keys in a locker. They wouldn't let me take my phone in, obviously, because you can sell them to inmates for like fucking 20 grand or something like that.
Wow.
Like, for so much money.
How would you get the money? If I gave my phone to an inmate, how do you get paid?
So they would make a call to someone on the outside.
Yeah, right. With your phone.
and just get it like transferred over. Like,
So is it like, maybe I've watched one too many movies, but I thought currency is cigarettes in jail.
20,000 cigarettes. That's what you're getting.
They stopped.
Hey, that's only a couple of packets these days.
I think it's called like White Ox is the packets of rollies that they used to have in jails, famously for like a very long time.
Yeah.
They cancelled them. I don't know how long ago. I think there might be some states. I think in WA they definitely still smoke.
Yeah.
But in New South Wales, it's no longer a thing. So the currency.
Wait, a prison smoke free?
They're probably vaping. I'm sure they're vaping now.
I saw guys smoking banana peels.
Seriously? You can't get a cigarette in prison?
Or unless they smuggle it in. No, you can't buy them.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah. But guys will smuggle them in. But this is in New South Wales. I don't know about the full rules in every state, but it's definitely New South Wales. I know I spoke to a guy who just got out of jail in WA recently, and he said they still smoke.
Yeah.
But so the currency now is like cans of tuna. And like just and
much harder to smuggle in, I imagine. It's
harder to smuggle in.
Much more painful.
You gotta want that protein.
If a can of Serena tuna chili pops in your ass, that's a bad day.
Oh man.
But you could get those anything on the buy up, which is like a very like easy financial cost. Is currency.
Yeah,
so.
I never got like, people that would not have the slightest clue of what happens in jail. You hear them say sometimes like, oh, they got TVs. It's like a holiday in there. They don't have to, like, surely it's you're in jail.
Hamo has made jail sound so attractive to me. Like when Hamo, to be fair, Hamo would have been way more liked in jail than I would have been. But Hamo makes it sound like a lot of fun. They have touch rugby tournaments.
They did.
Really?
Yeah, I played touch footy at Park Lee between, my wing 5D and 6B.
Is that maximum security?
Yeah, maximum security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have an oval.
Are people like getting shanked and stuff in there? Like, is it?
Yeah, there's brutal bashings pretty regularly, but it's usually you got to deserve it.
Yeah, okay.
Guys like that.
Like if they saw, this guy rocking up and he looks like an easy target, would they take advantage of that? Or
Tom's got size. They'd probably go for someone that looks like Tom's face but shorter.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. That's the clip.
Like
Tom might not be an easy target in prison. That's one of the nicest things Hamo's ever said to me.
Like his face gives off, he'll be easy to rob. But I'm like, we'll try a few easier targets first and work up to Tom.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
So
I reckon if you got rid of the glasses, you'd look like a Miklo from Blood In, Blood Out. I don't know if you guys get that reference.
I do not. What is Blood In, Blood Out? Do you Hamo's seen everything?
Yeah, that's a jail movie. It's a Mexican American jail movie.
I think I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah. It's got who's that Benjamin Bratt guy in there? But it was like from the 90s. I love. Oh, that was a movie I loved, man.
All right.
So yeah, you look like the main guy that becomes like the leader of the jail.
Oh wow.
So,
Yeah, I don't think I have that in me.
he was half white, half Mexican.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that in me.
Well, I mean, if you just take those glasses off and stab someone in the face with them, that would certainly help a lot.
Call some people essay. Holmes.
Tom's like, I prepared this essay before I
Could you mark my essay?
Oh man. Well, thanks for having me on the pod, guys.
Not at all. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, man.
I actually wanted to ask you because you've exhibited your radio skills very, very early. It's been very impressive. It's been a bit of a masterclass.
Oh, thank you.
I just tend to think that Hammer's future is on breakfast radio.
You'd be great on. They need you on breakfast radio. I mean,
I think there's a huge gap now that Marty Sheargold's out the way.
Yeah. And Hammer
what do you
loves
think about the
Matildas.
Matildas?
He fucking loves the Matildas.
I actually, speaking of which, when I was on radio a couple of years ago, and it was the Women's World Cup, and the Matildas were, having a crack, and they came fourth, I think. And Anastasia Palaszczuk, the Queensland Premier, was talking about erecting a statue for the Matildas, and I went on air and I was talking about how this is stupid. Like, what kind of message are we sending to our children, saying, hey, if you come fourth, you'll get a statue. I'm like, that's
participation statues.
Yeah, like that's a terrible message to send to the kids, Australian kids. So I went on air and I said this, and callers called up and they agreed with me. I got called into the office by management and said, hey, you can't be doing this stuff on air. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Too edgy.
Too edgy. Oh.
God.
I mean, that seems very tame compared to what Marty Sheargold's talking about.
Wait,
like hammering a nail through the head of his cock.
No, I didn't say.
No, but that's a fair point. But what you can't even make a reasonable observation at hey, you come fourth, maybe let's not give you a statue.
Well, that general manager got fired shortly after, so.
For dodgy stuff?
No, I think she was just terrible at her job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Am I allowed to say she's terrible at her job?
You would be allowed to say he was terrible. But when you said she's terrible, it sounds like she was a victim of workplace bullying.
Sounds like
Make you apologise to the statue of her outside the building that they've got now.
That radio station's fourth best manager.
My question, it seems quite an early start. Could you request to go on later in the day?
Yeah, it is very early, man.
Were you breakfast?
Breakfast, always breakfast. So that's the reason why, I didn't really do much stand-up for a good 10 years. I mean, I was doing little gigs here and there, but when you're waking up 3:30 in the morning, you can't get out to the clubs.
No, for sure.
Shout out to Dave Hughes. I know Hughesy. I was going to
say, is Hughesy out at 11 o'clock doing spots?
I know he's not on breakfast at the moment, but he was always kind of getting out to the clubs and
we would
and
see him
spots.
at random open mics to 12, 15 people.
Yeah.
Just ducking in doing a spot. This is crazy.
God bless him. That's tough. Yeah, I was in bed by 9 p.m, man. I definitely wasn't doing that when I was on radio. But it's good, man. I mean, two different experiences. I worked on radio overseas and I worked on radio in Australia. Overseas was a lot of fun. The show was very successful too. So I guess when you're successful,
was this just in Lebanon, or did you
just in Lebanon? No, I was in Lebanon for 6 years on Virgin Radio.
Yeah,
and then
is that Virgin as in Virgin Mobile, Virgin Money? Virgin?
Branson came. He launched the station. First day on radio, he was in the studio. I was interviewing him. So
that's sick.
What's he like?
Tired.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
sense. Man, this dude literally flies on a private jet, pops a bottle at the launch of a Virgin Radio or a Virgin Gym or a Virgin whatever, and then we'll celebrate and show his face because he is the brand.
Yes.
And then probably get on a private jet and go to the next country. So I just got the feeling like I was looking at him and just talking with management while we weren't on air, and I'm just like, man, this guy, pretty much like your small talk with the people you're selling drugs to, you know what I mean? He's just like, man, I just don't like this.
How many bottles of champagne can I pop?
But he was a good dude. Friendly enough guy. But
you can really get sick of anything.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Poor Richard. Well, I hope he has time to relax on one of his many islands and...
Yeah. Get some woman. What was that thing he did when he had the naked woman clutching to his back? Do you remember that? It's like wakeboarding or something. Do you remember that? There's like a really famous photo. There's like this topless woman who's like literally clinging to his back like a baby monkey as he is like on a wakeboard or water skiing or something.
You could say anything like, what was that famous photo about Richard Branson hanging off a chair? And it's like, it probably happened.
Classic.
That guy's done everything, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, working in Australia on radio was okay, but it was a lot more corporate. It's a lot more corporate, like getting called into meetings saying, why didn't you reply to Monica's email about the morning tea? You know what I mean? Like we need to know how many Lemingtons we need to provide.
As on radio talent, you got to be answering those sorts of emails.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
because you go off air at 9?
Yeah, 9.
And then
9
what
o'clock.
happens?
And then, you got to go into a meeting with your content director. I guess depending on who's in the office, people would like to work different, but usually go into a bunch of meetings. You'll go to a content meeting that'll review the show for the day, and then you'll have to talk about what's coming up on the show tomorrow. And then like Monday, you'd have a meeting to discuss what's happening for the week. And I'm like, well, why do we have to do daily meetings if we already discussed it? We're comedians. Like, we're not really built for that corporate environment. Or, I mean, you might be built for a corporate environment.
I'm in a corporate environment most of the time.
This podcast would not exist if we had to reflect on our content after every episode.
But radio's cool. It's a cool gig. It's great. I was still, telling stories every day and shooting the shit, and which was cool. You're still exercising that muscle.
Did you? Who were your co-hosts? You have 2 or 1?
I had 2 when I was overseas. I had 2 females, and here I had 1 co-host. So.
Okay, and who were they?
You probably wouldn't know.
I was really hoping there'd be some international footballer.
No one. And no disrespect to them. You just, probably wouldn't know.
Do they get you to do like vibe tests like before you start on radio with your potential team?
Yeah.
How do they... what do they get you to do?
You just do demos, like pretty much what we're doing. We'll sit down, have a chat, and then someone that probably was never good enough to make it on radio has to decide whether you're good enough to be on that. I mean, it's good, but the corporate environment that comes with it is just, all the bells and whistles. It's not. People think, how good is radio? You get to go into a studio and just tell stories for 3 hours, but man, you get called up because the break went too long. You have to go to commercials at a certain time. You have to play a certain amount of songs every hour. It's not as cool as what it seems.
You're right, because there's part of me that definitely thought that you get to 9 o'clock, you pass it over to whoever the next person is, and then you just get to go home and come back the next day. But no, there's
I would never have left if it was like that.
Yeah, right.
Get in my Lambo and fuck off. That's the dream in my head.
I think Kyle's doing that. I think Kyle Sandilands lives that life, but apart from him, no one else in radio is kind of living that life.
Yeah, I mean, especially now, right? Like it's going down. It's going down.
People listen to podcasts. People want long form conversations. People don't want, and a lot of it's. I'm not trying to ruin radio for people, but you can probably tell a lot of it is.
I don't think
I
don't think you're going to be the one who ruins radio for people. I think radio may have already ruined radio for people.
Yeah. So, but I'm not trying to shit on radio. It's still okay.
I was listening to Triple M the other morning, and it was the latest trio is Bo Ryan. Aaron Woods, who they are rebranding to Woodsy.
Okay,
which
of course.
I don't think he was Woodsy in his NRL career. He was kind of was, but he's definitely Woodsy on radio. And some chick, as it always is.
Okay.
And I'm like, you can't have 2 footy players. This does. I know Bo Ryan.
Too much CTE.
Too much CTE on so few microphones. You can't do it. I was listening to it, and they were talking. One of the girls was talking about moving house. And she's talking about trying to move this couch into her new apartment. And she's like, is this this one long, hard couch? And Aaron Woods, just half a second too late, goes, I like long, hard things. And that was his zinger for that
Woodsy
moment.
Classic. Hey. Then you press the button. Do you ever get any say on the music? It sounds like that's one of the things that would drive me insane, just hearing the same fucking 20 songs forever.
That was probably the worst thing. And this is the kind of thing, you come up with some good some good ideas. For example, I got married while I was on air. So I did this segment once where I let the listeners pick my bridal waltz. Okay.
Nice.
So listen, in my mind, this sounds like a good radio bit, right? If you're invested into the show, this guy that you listen to every morning, he's letting us pick his bridal waltz. The song that won ended up being Stand By Me by Benny King. All right. Great song.
Yep.
It was a great 1 hour of the show, right? It went for an hour. We played some songs, and we ended up playing that song at the end, and it was a big cool thing. I got called in for another meeting saying, "Listen, that was a great bit on radio, but if you're going to play a song from the 60s, you have to let us know." So like, you can't win when it comes to the music. It's all logged in. You're not supposed to touch anything.
What's the issue with you playing an old song that's going to alienate the audience?
This is what I mean. The people that are making these decisions are dudes that were probably never good enough to make it on air.
That's
know?
crazy.
Yeah.
So hold on, how did you work that you did? You got married live on air?
No, like I was working on radio.
I can't believe that's how you took that hammer. I heard it as well. When I was,
Yeah. Sorry, maybe I should have been a bit clear. So I got married while I was working on radio,
Okay.
but not on air. Yeah, no.
I'm so sorry you had to be clear about that. You shouldn't have to be clear.
Oh, like, holy shit, the commitment on this man. That's
I didn't love it that much. No.
I was going to understand you like pitching that to your wife. Be like, hey. Yeah, we're a bit low on the ratings. We think we've got a big comeback special.
Yeah.
We're going to need you to be mic'd up as you walk down the aisle.
Yeah, and the couples are going to do their vows after the few words from Crazy Johns. Bargains.
All right, so I'm the idiot here.
Yeah, as per.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I thought I was hooked. I was like,
How did you how did you go down that path of becoming Sydney's mushroom king? Like, were things not going well for you and that was the only way out to make some cash, or did it start out as having some fun and you thought,
it just starts by loving drugs. It's just like it starts by being a fan of them.
It starts with passion.
And trying to just like help out mates at parties. Is it a crime to just help out the boys?
Yes. The way you were doing it, yes, it is a crime.
Turns out it is a crime. So yeah, it just escalates from you just trying to help out people at parties, and then you make a little bit of a markup for your time, and you're like, oh, it's pretty easy money. And then then their friends have friends that also want to get helped out. And then you start buying in such amounts that you can get even bigger discounts because you're buying in bulk.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, hold on, I can pay my rent with this. And then it just keeps escalating until 15 years in, you're making 30 grand and putting 10 grand a week of cocaine up your nose, and you're just like, whoa, what a fucking mess.
Didn't you watch Scarface, bro? You don't get high on your own supply, man. That's rule number one.
Okay, but my problem with that whole thing about don't get high on your own supply is like, why wouldn't you get high on your supply? We're not going to trust some other guy's supply. It doesn't make sense.
Some guy comes to your house to buy cocaine. It's like, where's Hammer? It's like, oh, he's out picking up cocaine.
I guess so.
I've got ounces of my own stuff, but I'm just picking up small bags from someone else just for my own stuff.
It's like a guy that owns a pizza restaurant not eating his own pizzas. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, Hammer also owned a pizza restaurant?
Yeah, I did. He did. Yeah, it was a money laundering operation in King's Cross, but we also had fantastic pizzas and my own beer taps. So, of course, like I just sat there and ate my own pizzas and just poured myself beers.
Wow.
I was like, oh, this kind of works great.
Hammer is very proud of his money laundering operation as a pure pizza
and
restaurant.
you can speak about all this stuff because it's after the fact, right? Like
It's all done.
It's all done. Okay.
I didn't check with my criminal lawyer, but I'm pretty sure I am innocent.
Yeah.
Do you reckon everybody that uses that term double jeopardy is just because they saw that movie Double Jeopardy?
I don't even know if they saw it. I think they might have read the back of the cover.
Like,
or been explained the concept.
Judd's pretty hot. Yeah.
I still don't fully understand how that works. So it's you can only serve a penalty for a crime once. Is that the idea?
Of Double Jeopardy?
Yes.
I mean, the whole plot of that movie is that like you can't serve time twice for a crime that you committed.
Yeah.
So she goes to prison for murder, but the guy's not dead, so she's allowed to kill him.
Yes.
So I don't know how that applies.
What if you are tried and you're found innocent? Can you then be tried again and found guilty, or no? You're in the clear.
I guess it depends on the circumstances of how the case goes, because like sometimes if it's like a mistrial or you're found not guilty, but if the judge says with prejudice, I think that's what they say, then like it can't be retried.
Okay.
But sometimes if the prosecutors feel like there's a reason why they didn't get the result, they can try it again.
Okay.
They can try it multiple times if they want.
Okay. Oh, wow.
But I think double jeopardy is about when you've been found, when you've already been found guilty and done the time.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Then it's like you can't be done for it twice.
Okay.
What a fantastic idea. So do you really?
So like I guess it would be like if they found further evidence that I had sold mushrooms or like other drugs during the time that I've already been sentenced for, they'd be like, well, he's already done it.
Okay.
There is a little part of me that the first thought that I go to is like, so you can just sell as many mushrooms as you want now because you've already paid money. No. Retrospectively.
Wouldn't that be great? I could just be like, no, that's all right, fellas. I got to pass.
So do you think Ashley Judd could have just killed that? Does that hold up legally? We should ask Muggleton this. He has a law degree that he doesn't use, but he might be able to tell us. Like, could she actually, like, could she just like walk up to him in the middle of a busy street?
The whole line, mate. It's like you can go and shoot him in the head in the middle of Times Square and no one can do anything about it. Like that's like the whole bit from the trailer.
That's from the trailer.
I'm glad you've watched the trailer. I haven't even got that far.
I've seen the movie. Tommy Lee Jones, not like pretty good, but like not as good as his Oscar-winning performance in The Fugitive, which is one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes.
Which one?
Was Wesley Snipes?
He's in the sequel. He's in the sequel to The Fugitive, which is called
Fugitive 2?
Something. No, it's not called that. It's it's on
Too Fast, Too Fugitive.
No, it's
Too Fast.
it's called U.S. Marshals. There we go.
There we go.
That was the sequel?
Yeah. He plays. Is it called reprises his role? Is that the term you use?
That's very nice.
There we go. Reprises his role. Yes, Tommy Lee Jones plays it again.
That's so crazy to make a sequel and give it a different name. Like not even like The Fugitive 2, American Marshal, like just starting from scratch.
You guys fans of sequels?
Yeah, I think so.
Has there ever been a sequel that's better than the original?
Toy Story 2.
So many.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Toy Story? Have you seen any of the Toy Stories?
I haven't seen the Toy Stories, man.
All right, we're gonna have to stop this podcast.
Yeah, listen, I saw you guys talking about Pokemon recently, and I'm like, man, I've never seen that either.
Yeah, how
bro,
old are
I've
you?
got no idea.
Yeah,
how old are you?
I'm 41.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, it is a little bit, and Hammer's 38.
39.
Yeah.
Well, I 39 in like 2 weeks. So.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Terminator 2.
What date's your birthday?
13th of April.
Oh, you won't be in Melbourne anymore, will you? You'll be back.
I'll be back. Yes, I'll be back. We're just about to talk about this.
Yeah, that is better than the original.
Also, by James Cameron, is the sequel to Aliens.
You think Aliens is better than Alien?
I think Aliens, to me, is better than Alien.
They're like thoroughly different movies, aren't they?
They are. Alien is like this tight, atmospheric thriller with this one alien. And then James Cameron, so that was by Ridley Scott. And then James Cameron, which is a pretty of a boss move, making a sequel to someone else's kind of idea, came in and did Aliens, which was like this blockbuster action movie with just a hive of so many aliens. And I fucking love that movie. So, yeah. They're two good ones.
I don't know this one, but I believe people would say The Godfather 2 is superior to the original.
Yeah, that's definitely a conversation people would have. I'd say part 2 is probably better than the first one, but the first one's great as well.
I just remember the second one being really slow, but I haven't seen it for years.
They're all pretty slow. They all go for about 16 hours each. They go for long, but...
I used to have this big thing where I would sit with a mountain of cocaine and just watch those never-ending series of movies in one block.
Yeah,
so you can watch all the Lord of the Rings movies. That's
I
fucking
haven't seen
12
them
hours.
either. I want to watch those.
Strap yourself in.
I've tried to literally put on Lord of the Rings maybe 3 or 4 times, fallen asleep every single time.
I don't give a shit about fantasy. Orcs, goblins, wizards. I'm out.
Shut up.
Don't care.
Yeah, it's tough.
No, you guys get a couple of days away from the wife and kids, and I'll bring the cocaine, and we'll close the blinds. We'll sit in here.
So is Lord of the Rings up there with one of the greatest?
I love
movies?
it. Yeah, amazing series.
Yeah.
But,
if you look at all the IMDb ratings or whatever, best movies of all time, I think the third one is usually up there. People say that Return of the King's the best one, right? I think.
they're all equally as good. I love them all, but that's a good 10, 11 hours of your time just you got to clear for that. But it's the same with The Godfather.
Yeah.
I was strapped in and I introduced my ex-fiance now, but like we'd be sitting there on coke watching all three of the Godfather movies. Obviously, like everyone hates on Godfather 3, but only compared to the first two. If it was just a standalone movie,
It's a great
you'd still
movie.
consider it good.
It's a great movie.
But for me, I think Godfather 1 is
Andy Garcia is great in Godfather 3.
It's still a good movie, and it's still Pacino, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you were a fan of Scarface, obviously. Was that one of your role models?
love that.
That was a great movie. That was my favourite movie as like a 14-year-old.
You ever heard about Hamo's Tiger? Is that
My pet tiger in my backyard. I mean, those guys just. There's so much violence associated with all these drug dealers. I was more like the friendly neighborhood one. There was never any violence associated.
Yeah. Do they take that into account when they're giving you your sentencing? Like, do they say, this guy's a nice guy, like, let's not lock him up for 12, let's just give him a couple?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no evidence of, if there was evidence of violence in your life, that would obviously make the crime and the punishment more severe. But then when you get sentenced, if it's a non-violent crime, you get sent to a minimum security. So while I was in remand, unsentenced, I was in maximum security. But when you get sentenced, you go to a minimum security.
Okay.
And it's a bit more chill.
Okay.
so? Is that where you ended up at minimum security?
No, if I got sentenced after I was out, if I had been sentenced to do more jail time, I would have been in a minimum security prison then. And
Did you have a preference of which prison you were going to? Like university preferences?
yeah, you're allowed to put in your request based on whatever reasons you have.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to go to Windsor. What's it called?
Loves the royal family.
I forget what the name of the prison is there, but it's at Windsor. But I got.
Do they have like a nice extracurricular program?
I heard
They got a great football team.
they're given iPads, I think, there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like, I got told that it was a pretty good setup and it was going to be like not too far away from my family to visit as
Okay.
well, which is like probably the reason you would lead with.
What kind of household am I running? I won't even give my kid an iPad.
Yeah, your kid's desperate to go to Windsor as well. They get iPads all day.
So some guy smuggling an iPad up his ass and finding out, mate, you're going to be so upset when you find out that that's not worth it.
Pulls the iPad out and the 3 cans of tuna fall out. What would it be connected to the internet? Surely not, right?
No, it might be some kind of like local intranet or something like that,
yeah.
where like very controlling of what you can do on it.
Fascinating.
But yeah, definitely not the internet.
Have you not heard all the stories about jail? This is still fascinating for you, some of this
There's
stuff?
still things still arise from time to time, even after 80 episodes of this podcast, where a lot of it has been Hamo. Then what happens in jail?
Yeah.
I have a copy of Hamo's book sitting on my shelf.
Have you read it?
I'm waiting for the perfect moment. I'm waiting for the perfect time.
What is the last book you did read?
I just read. What did I just finish? I'm in the middle of a book at the moment. I started a book called Butter. That
Sounds shit. Should read my book.
Hamo doesn't read, but he wrote a book, and he wants me to read his book. I'm not.
As a man, I failed high school and I've written 3 kids' books, and I go to schools and read it to them. So,
Don't get me wrong. If I was a child, I would read Hamo's book.
Do you do audio books as well?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't. Have you done an audio book?
Yeah, I had to record it myself.
How was that?
It was hard work.
Yeah.
It's very hard work. You got to like really concentrate.
I've done some voiceover work. I did some voiceover stuff for like Koala Man animated series, which was, and it's a lot of being in the studio and did you have to do like many takes and
Is there no market for a kid's for an audio version of a kid's book? No,
there probably is. I just it's kind of like a side thing for me. So
Yeah.
I try and like pump out one book a year, but between stand up and all the rest. So
I imagine the act of reading it is kind of the point for a parent, as opposed to an audio book where it's like, put this on, go away.
Totally. And I'm kind of a big fan of that as well. Like I said, my kid is 2 years old. He doesn't really watch TV except for Michael Jordan highlights.
Your kid loves The Last Dance.
yeah. And, so yeah, I like the idea of kids actually reading physical books,
They have in jail, just triggered a memory of, they have a program where guys with kids can record them reading a kid's book for then their kids to like listen to it at home.
That's sad, man.
He's hiding like smuggling instructions in the Hungry Caterpillar.
But some of these guys maybe they're not great speakers, or like they have trouble reading. It could just as easily be you.
Yeah.
Say, oh, your dad's not a very good reader, but we've got the Anthony version here.
Yeah, you're reading the book to him, and then he can read it to his kid.
Yeah.
Well, this might be a good what's the word we hammer?
Segue
Stitch. To the pilot ad for this week. So Hammer doing a little bit of reading out loud. So Anthony, usually we would get the guest to read, but perhaps the children's book market and the erectile dysfunction market might be separate Venn diagrams.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay.
So I've written one for Hammer this week. Hammer, you want to?
Yeah, I'll talk about my flaccid cock. It's fine. Let's go. Hey there, floggers. Amateur boxer Andrew Hamilton here. I might be undefeated in the boxing ring. That's true. 1-0. But there's one opponent who I've never been able to knock stiff. My penis. When my ding-dong is doing the rope-a-dope, it doesn't matter how hard I beat it, it will not get up for the count. At least that was the case until I found Pilot. Thanks to Pilot, my boners are more powerful than Muhammad Ali in his prime and more stiff than Muhammad Ali now. Fuck. If you don't believe me, try it yourself. Go to pilot.com.au and knock out erectile dysfunction today. And use the code FLOGGERS20 to get $20 off your first order. Pilot. Hard made easy.
There you go.
There we go. That was a nice one.
Could you imagine an entire book of that voice struggling to read out loud?
There was some good singers in there, man.
Thank you.
Definitely could tell it was written by you.
Thank
you have
you.
a very unique style of comedy, and it's very
Is
sharp,
unique
brother.
a nice way of
nice.
saying...
No, it is very
Is
sharp.
unique a nice way of saying shit?
No.
So that's the whole time you were complimenting me. I'm like, where's it coming? Who is he doing with this? It's going to hurt my feelings.
No,
You mean comedy doesn't sell well? What are we saying?
Honestly, man, listen, there's not many. I mean, as comedians, you watch comedy every night, and you're at the clubs, and you're seeing people do their stuff, but you don't really hang to watch every comic do their stuff. But both of you guys are, and especially and Dan as well. Like I really dig all your stuff, man. So man, how many years you're in now?
This would be, I'm coming up to 8.
Yeah,
Coming
man.
up to 8.
Yeah, and how about yourself?
3.
Okay, well, you're pretty fresh,
I'm
man.
baby, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yes.
you're both killing it, man. You're both doing really well, man.
That's very nice. Thank you.
No. It's
Tom is a very good joke writer.
Thank you.
you're a great joke writer.
Oh, I
man.
appreciate it. Thank you. And you're great too. We're all very good.
If you had to pick a favourite, though, you've said nice things about all of us.
Well, here's what I noticed is Anthony started complimenting me, and then you got uncomfortable, and then he dragged you into it. So what do you reckon? If you had to guess who his compliment feels a little bit more natural, what would you have said, Hammer? Talk to me in 5 years, fuckhead. Jesus. God, Hammer's like giving me ticket sales updates. He's like, oh man, I'm not selling too well for Melbourne. I'm like, how many you sold? It's like, 800 tickets. And I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I sold 800 this year and last together.
Hey, man.
People have different journeys in comedy.
My troubles are still valid, Tom. So.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I tend to not think so.
But like comedy is one of those things where, I'm nearly 20 years in, and I've had like 4 different kinds of voices among those 20 years. Like when I started, when I started, I was like quite dirty, and I guess as you grow as a person and things change in your life, that kind of reflects what you're talking about on stage.
Yeah.
It's funny, like when we hooked up today and I got here, you said, I'm trying to write some material that's not about jail and drugs and that. Like, I find myself now, I'm like, man, I've got to write material that's not about being married and having a kid, because that's just kind of been my whole life over the last few years. So, I guess we all got our journey. And
I think I'm going to keep running jokes about the Holocaust. That's right. I think I found my voice.
Do you find that you're saying you've changed voices like several times? Do you find like, is it hard work to get your audience to follow you with those changes as well? Do you have to like find a new audience, or are they happy to kind of evolve with you?
I think they evolve with you. I mean, especially if they are fans of your work and they like your stuff, they kind of, and this is the great thing about comedy and about comedians. you could have, you know, a lineup of 8 comics, you know, 8 different styles of comedy. But if you're funny, right? And I think the audience, they're the same. If you're funny, they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep watching. So, and that's what I love about comedy and about being around other comedians. It's like you don't all have the same views on life, or you're not all into the same stuff, but if someone's funny, you give them their props, and you know you got to give them their respect. So
it's pretty great as well when you think about, like you say, in a lineup show, and maybe you've got 6 comedians, and they're all great and they're all different, and then different people in the audience can leave with
great. Sorry, that was. Yeah.
They're not always all great, are they?
No, all of them.
It's ups and downs.
Every single one. I've never seen a bad one. I've never seen a bad. I hear they're out there.
Yeah. No, sorry.
No, but it's like, you know, that different crowd members can all leave with different favorites.
Yeah,
right. Like
totally.
So I was like, I thought that guy was great.
Totally.
And then
totally. But yeah, I love it, man. Out of all the things, you know, whether it be stand up or radio or theater or whatever, stand up trumps it all, man. It's you know, that feeling of you with the mic and the live audience. I mean, have you guys done any other kinds of live entertainment?
I did like before, like in uni, I did a little bit of music and in a band.
You sing or play?
I played guitar. I eventually I did one gig where I sang. I wasn't a very good singer, but in bad bands.
Okay.
But I reckon being in a great, but this is the thing, I always say this, because there seems to be this cliche about all musicians wish they were comedians, all comedians wish they were musicians. Yeah. I reckon that musicians want to be comedians because it's easier. Comedians want to be musicians because it's better.
Well, I mean,
it's way cooler.
It's way cooler.
It lasts longer.
Chicks aren't wanting to rude comedians in the same way they want to rude guys from the band.
Speak for yourself.
I remember being a kid, and I loved John Farnham. He was like John Farnham and Bobby Brown.
Never would have guessed it. Never, in 100 years, if you're like, remember, guess who I liked as a kid? I never would have been like, did you love You're the Voice?
Oh, man. I loved everything, man. Burn For You. That is a banger. John Farnham. So I remember.
Two Strong Hearts is my favorite.
Oh, yeah, man. They're all bangers, man. I remember I was like in 3rd grade, and John Farnham was performing like center stage at the local Westfields. This was in Adelaide. I grew up in Adelaide for the first 10 years of my life. So
hectic.
I remember going and watching him perform live, and he had some zingers. He had some sick one-liners. I even remember this as a kid, and I was like, man, this guy's he's got it all, man. He's funny. You can see. But yeah, John Farnham, man, it was.
That was definitely certain musicians definitely have reputations for being quite funny on stage, right?
I hate that.
Do you hate it?
Why?
Because it's like, leave some pussy for the rest of us, but also like it's just like it's like a quadruple threat. They're dancing, they're singing, they're hot, and they're also funny. Yeah, I saw some clips from we had a mate of the pod, Dave Hoy, on recently, who he does comedy sketches, and he did one with Michael Bublé, and I saw some like of Michael Bublé doing jokes on stage. He was crushing, and I'm like, fuck,
man,
some of these guys, so many of these guys,
he's
are also
funny. Bublé, he's actually funny. Did you guys have like a favorite artist as a kid, like someone you really loved? Because I mean, John Farnham was it for me. Like he was the guy.
I think I liked Silverchair.
Okay.
I grew up with a lot of Silverchair, Akadaka.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think when I was young. I remember loving Eminem when I was like 10.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That was huge.
A lot of Ministry of Sound, like hard energy, fucking random
I can see why you got into your line of work.
Nick Skits, brother.
He's a good dude. I know that guy. He's a good guy. Nick Skits. He's doing like Skits Mix 740 now. They're still dropping.
Yeah, it was good
still
stuff.
Bangers.
Back when I was like 12, 13, 14.
I think my idols when I was a kid were not musicians or even like actors. It was athletes. Yeah, like that was the thing that put on pedestals were like Wallabies players and cricket players and stuff.
Yeah, Michael Jordan was the. I mean, I was a kid of the 90s, so it was Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. That was the two MJs. You know,
true.
That's a very different MJ the musical, wouldn't it? If it was Michael Jordan, maybe less problematic. I think.
Did you guys, I mean, even before you started selling drugs, did you have a fascination with stand-up comedy? Is there something you wanted to do?
Yeah, man. When I was like 17, 18, I used to always go to like Arj Barker gigs. I remember watching like Daniel Towns open for Arj Barker when I was like, when I was like 18, and be like, this guy's awesome. And so I always had an interest in stand-up. I used to go to like local stand-up all the time just to watch shows, and I would like write joke ideas in my phone. And I think like part of me always wanted to do it, but I never made an active effort to like figure out where to go.
And after you got locked up, you just said you're going to give it a crack.
I just asked myself, like, what do I want to get out of life? And the only answer in my head was stand-up.
Wow.
It was just like,
that's dope.
There was nothing else. It wasn't...
now that cocaine was off the list.
Well, I felt like I'd completed cocaine. You know?
Yeah, you did.
You finished the game.
Oh, if you could be half the comedian you were the coke addict, you're going to have quite a career.
He defeated M. Bison.
The final boss is just yourself in front of a mirror, just like convulsing. And so I got past that part, and I was like, let's start again. But how old were you when you?
Sorry, just Snortle Combat. There we go.
There we go. That's the name of this week's episode.
I went down the dead end of Street Fighter for quite a while. I'm like, Street Liner? That's bad. No.
That's good.
I was like 21 when I started. I think I first time I tried it, I was like 18. I did an open mic at the Comedy Store, and I invited everyone I knew.
Really?
You did that?
Man, I was working at Foot Locker at the time, and there was this girl that I had a crush on. I invited her. She brought all her friends.
Jesus Christ.
All of this is making much more sense than John Farnham.
Man,
you're a wild man.
Man, I honestly had a 5-minute set. I'd never done anything like this before. I said, I am going to be like the Lebanese Eddie Murphy after this 5 minutes, right? I died in the ass, man. Like, I reckon I did about 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes and walked off stage. It was terrible.
You're doing hot Foot Locker material?
Terrible.
You know, when a customer says they're a size 9, you know they're a size 7. Am I right?
I mean, you got to love the self-confidence, though.
Yeah, man. I invited everyone. It was terrible. And, you know, you got to remember, like, these days, back then, like, there was no YouTube. Stand-up wasn't like what it is today.
So you're going. What are you picturing? You're going to be Eddie Murphy. You're going to do.
I pictured that I was going to crush.
You're in a like bright purple leather suit.
Did you even have like 5 minutes of material in your head, or you thought I'm just going to riff up there and fucking?
I had some jokes. But I bailed, man. The audience weren't really digging it. They weren't laughing. And I bounced, man. I think I can't even remember who the MC was, but
I was going to ask. Do you remember anyone else that was on?
Maybe Sam Bowring was the MC.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
He was on.
Shit.
Yeah, back in the day. But then I didn't do it. A couple of years later, I got into theatre. I was doing a bit of acting in some theatre shows, and Tahir was the director of this show that I was in.
Okay.
And I just said to him, man, I've written these jokes, and he's like, I go, just give me your opinion, what do you think? And he's like, man, I've got a gig at, I think it was like Carlingford Bowls in a couple of weeks. Do 5 minutes before me.
Yeah, right.
And by that time, I'd had some experience on stage. I mean, I'd performed in front of crowds of like 1,000 people with the theatre shows and that. So I had a bit more confidence, stage confidence. And
you would be hard pressed to find anyone more friendly and supportive than Tahir in Australian comedy.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the guy, man. He's the friendliest guy. So and even still till this day, man, he's so supportive. So
I think, but I sometimes feel fortunate that I started comedy at like 36, and when I had some things to talk about,
some depths.
Yeah.
Bro.
That I think if I'd have started at your age, I would have talked about coming and wanking for 5 minutes. I would have bombed, and then I may not have like wanted to, but may not have gone on with comedy. You know,
man,
that's so funny. The other thing that Hammer's doing in his later show is he's making a prison pussy live on stage, which is so far from talking about coming and wanking.
Actually,
it's a huge step forward.
It's a thinking man's joke, Tom.
I think
cerebral. There's a prop. We get people to finger it.
Thinking man comedy. There's a
you
prop.
do crowd interaction. Okay.
Yeah. When there's too much time left, I get everyone in the audience to have a go. Who hasn't fingered the towel?
Oh man, I think I remember that. One of the first jokes I did was about I couldn't afford a car, so I wanted to do up my bed. So I lowered my bed. I put chrome legs on it. I put fluffy dice on the bed. It was terrible, man, you know? And the punchline was, the insurance company won't insure my bed because I sleep in Bankstown. So, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, it's pretty bad. But this is the kind of stuff you talk about as a 20-year-old with no life experience. So, how old are you now?
I'm 33.
Okay, so you got into your mid-20s.
Yeah, I still think when you start, like, even if you had anything to say, it's like you don't really have the skill. You're just like, what is a joke? Is this a joke? And that, especially for me, like, I was pretty one-linery. Yeah. And because I love Jimmy Carr and stuff, so I literally was just like, what's a funny thing to say about the Holocaust? And then I've just done it ever since.
I've got a Jimmy Carr story for you.
Oh, please.
I was lucky enough to do Montreal in 2010, very early into my career.
Did you do New Faces?
Just for laughs. I didn't do New Faces. I just did a bunch of showcase shows there. One was with Jimmy Carr. One lineup I did was me, Jimmy Carr, Bill Burr, Rove McManus.
All the greats. Mount Rushmore.
And there was who are Glenn Wool, John Doerr from Canada, another great comic. And now I look back at the material I was doing back then, and it was terrible.
But you were still what, like 7 or 8 years in by then?
That's right.
Yeah.
I was about 5-6 years in.
Okay.
So, but so everybody stays at the Hyatt Hotel that is involved with the Montreal Just for Laughs, or they were back then. The next morning, I'm walking in the foyer, and Jimmy Carr stops me, and he's like, "Hey, man, great set last night." And I'm like, Jimmy Carr just told me great set last night, like, and I'm like a couple years in, and
did you have a good set?
I did have a good set, but like I look back at the material and I'm like, man, that was terrible. But,
it went well.
Yeah, it went well. But I mean, the fact that he even did that, that's always stuck with me. It's always stayed with me. I always remember that, So
yeah, I think there's just the assumption that all these big wigs, like as soon as they're off, they're not listening to anyone else on the show.
Yeah, totally, man, totally.
I feel like pretty much more than any other sort of art form or whatever, it does feel as if you hear more good stories about the greats in stand-up than just about anything else. Like I feel like acting, music, whatever, there is always stories when they get to a height, there's so much ego and they can be difficult. I feel like great comedians, a lot of people seem to speak very highly of the Bill Burrs, the Dave Chappelle's, the Jimmy Carr's, like.
Totally. But there are some circumstances where some people think they're holier than thou. I remember doing, and I'm not trying to shit on anyone, but I remember the Comedy Store. I don't know, did you guys ever see Sacha Baron Cohen when he was there a couple of years ago?
I remember hearing about it. I never saw it.
So he came and did some surprise pop-up spots in character as Ali G and as Borat. And he kind of didn't want to sit with the other comics. He had his own section upstairs where they had like built, and like Josh Gad and some other Hollywood stars were there and hanging out. Isla Fisher, his wife, and he didn't want to really talk to any of the comics or anything like that. And I mean, whatever, that's his prerogative. But they're not all as cool as Jimmy Carr pulling you aside and saying good set.
I definitely think there's something about stand-up comedy as an experience. You've just been humbled so many times, I imagine, as opposed to Sacha Baron Cohen, who's more of like a TV star, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point.
Was he in character when he arrived?
I didn't even see him when he arrived.
Yeah, right.
It's like he's like an enigma.
Because they did the whole thing. They took phones away and stuff. I didn't even know they had like the ability to do that. The Comedy Store.
Yeah. So
he was supposed to do a bunch of like secret gigs at the Comedy Lounge in Perth, and then like I think the media caught wind of it. Yeah, and so like he pulled it the whole run of gigs.
And you can tell like he was nervous. He was nervous doing it because. Audiences are gonna. I remember hearing, I can't remember what interview it was, but Jerry Seinfeld said, you come out on stage and I get a standing ovation for the first minute or two, but after that, you got to be funny, man.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, he was funny, but you can tell that he was trying to work stuff out and he was trying to work these bits out. So audiences don't lie, man.
I remember doing the Comedy Store after I've been doing comedy for like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and things have been going very well. And I was like, oh, it's so easy to crush at the store. And like, I can just fucking say, I just like ran up with a bunch of new stuff that I'd written like that week. And I was like, oh, this will be great. and I did shit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck, no, I'm an idiot. Oh, let's not do that again. Like and then I immediately went back to doing prison and drug jokes.
Yeah, man.
Just give them what they want.
And that's the beauty about stand-up, you know. Audiences will always tell you if something's funny. They'll always tell you if something's funny.
Yeah.
You know.
They're shit sometimes though, right? Audiences?
Yeah,
sometimes?
they can
Fuck
be.
Those guys. Fuck audiences.
They can be. I mean, you know, but if you're in a room with, I'd say, like a couple of hundred people or more, if you're funny, you're going to be funny.
Yeah.
Well, considering we've kind of reached the end of regular time, I will tell you about the response I had from the inmates at the prison today on the Patreon.
Oh, well.
Huge.
I love that.
Jeez, bro.
You need to work in radio, bro. That's Radio 101
This was
right
Tom's
there.
idea, and then I wasn't sure about. I was like, "Oh, we can just talk about the regular app," but then we've run out of time, things to talk about. We've run out of time.
I'm the guy who's better who can't make it on radio. Who afterwards like Hamilton, you didn't throw to the song. You can't play 60s songs on Flog Cabin. Don't you dare bring up Benny King on my podcast again.
Oh man, well, thanks for having me, boys.
No, thank you for having. Thank you for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And yeah, we'll tune over to the Patreon. Oh, we're so bad at this. Anything you like to plug? Anything you want to tell the good people about?
Listen, I'm about to drop a bunch of tour dates. I'm touring all around the country later in the year. Just follow me on Instagram, Anthony Salame.
Check him out. It's fantastic.
Solo shows?
Solo shows.
Great.
I'm doing some overseas stuff in the next couple of months. Doing Dubai, Lebanon, Paris, North America later in the year, but Australia happening in winter.
So cool.
We've got floggers all over the world. So
awesome, man.
Yep.
Just hit me up, floggers.
global.
Hit him up.
It's
All right.
good to be invited to the cabin. Thank you, boys.
We're flattered that you'd come. So we're going to do a thing now. How do we do this? I always get the order wrong. You're going to say a thing.
You say, Tom will say something, then I'll say something, and then you just say bye in a weird way.
All right. In a weird way.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's better.
All right.
All right, here we go. Stay flogged up.
Check the Dodgems. Bye.
That was good. That was very good.
There we go. Perfect.